Once upon a time, there was a strong and healthy young boy, filled with the desire to win. To him, success simply meant being first. In a village running competition, he competed against two other young boys. When the race began, all three ran neck and neck, but with determination and strength, he broke ahead and crossed the finish line first. The crowd erupted in cheers and applause. The boy felt proud and triumphant. But among the joyful crowd, there stood a wise old man, watching silently, showing no expression at all. After the first victory, the boy became even more confident, eager to prove himself again. A second race was arranged, this time with two new competitors, also young and strong. As the signal rang out, the boy sprinted forward, putting all his energy into the race, and once again, he finished first. The crowd cheered wildly, clapping nonstop. The boy felt important, like a hero in his village. Yet, while everyone celebrated, the wise old man, who had quietly observed from the beginning, remained still. He didn't smile, nor did he applaud. The boy started noticing the old man's silence. Even though he had won twice and was praised by the crowd, the calm indifference of the old man left him feeling that something was missing. A question began to rise within him. Why doesn't he seem happy? I've won, haven't I? And that curiosity led him to a completely different race, one that would teach him the true meaning of victory. Still eager to prove himself, the boy excitedly asked for another race. This time, the wise old man stepped forward and agreed, but he pointed to two new challengers, a frail old woman and a blind man. The boy was taken aback. "This isn't a real race," he exclaimed. "How could they possibly run?" The old man simply nodded and said, "Just begin." When the signal was given, the boy rushed ahead, easily finishing the race alone, while the two others remained still at the starting line. The boy raised his arms proudly, but this time, the crowd was completely silent. No cheering, no admiration in their eyes. The boy looked around, confused. Why is no one celebrating my victory? The old man stepped forward and gently said, "Run the race again, but this time, finish together, all three of you." The boy slowed down, looked at the elderly pair, then walked over and took their hands. Together, the three of them walked slowly, step by step, toward the finish line. And this time, when they crossed it, the crowd erupted in thunderous applause. As the boy, the elderly woman, and the blind man crossed the finish line side by side, the square filled with the sound of cheers and clapping. The crowd rejoiced, their eyes shining with emotion. The boy looked around in amazement, wondering why, despite not being the only one to finish, he received such overwhelming praise. He turned to the old man and asked, puzzled, "Sir, who are they cheering for? Me, the old woman, or the blind man?" The wise old man smiled gently, placed his hand on the boy's shoulder, and said, "This time, the crowd isn't cheering for a winner. They are cheering for something greater than victory, compassion and companionship. In this race, you didn't just finish, you helped others finish too." The boy fell silent, his eyes slowly filling with understanding. It was no longer about personal pride. What he felt now was the warmth that came from a simple act, taking someone's hand and walking with them through difficulty. He stood still for a moment, looking back at the starting line, where the old woman had once trembled, unable to take a step, and the blind man could only stand helpless. Without his hand, they might have never crossed the line. At that moment, the boy realized something he had never thought about before. His past victories, though glorious, were victories of one. But this time, even though the pace was slow and his name wasn't shouted, the win had touched people's hearts. It was a victory that truly mattered. The old man looked at the boy with the gentle eyes of a teacher who had waited for his student to finally understand. He said, "In this life, what matters isn't how fast you run, but who you run with, and what you do for them along the way. When you stop to reach out in others, that's when you truly win, not just in a race, but in life itself." The boy bowed his head gently, his heart filled with peace. From that day on, he no longer ran to defeat others, but to walk alongside them on the great journey called life. From that day forward, the boy was no longer the one who always charged ahead, chasing victory for himself alone. He began to look around, noticing those who were slower or weaker, and he was always ready to offer a helping hand. His steps became slower, but they were firmer and filled with greater purpose than ever before. He came to understand that life is not a race to see who is the fastest or strongest, but a journey where love, sharing, and togetherness create the greatest victories. The applause he once longed for no longer mattered. What truly became valuable were the smiles of those he had helped, the grateful eyes, and the warm feeling of knowing that no one was left behind. Life is a race, not to outpace others, but to finish together. And in that race, the most beautiful victory does not lie in being first, but in knowing how to run for others, with others. Because how we run, that is what gives life its deepest meaning.